In the shadows of Europal's mountains, a forgotten people rose.
They were the wolves of the forest, feared even by Rome. Guided by gods,
armed with iron, united by fire.
And across the Danube stood Rome, hungry for conquest.
This is the story of the Dacians, the wolves who defied an empire. In the storm-wrapped heart of Europe, a land of mountains and mystery awaited, a land called Dacia. Here, rivers carved silver paths through endless forests, a fortress of nature guarding its people. Among these woods lived the Dacians, warriors forged by fire, hunger, and the wolf's spirit. They worshipped Zalmoxis, a god who promised them life beyond death. To Rome, this wild land across the Danube was both mystery and threat. Their culture was alive, with ritual, songs, dances, and drums echoing through the night.
Villages clung to valleys and cliffs, where life was humble but strong.
They sowed fields, raised cattle, and drew wealth from the earth itself. But more than farmers, they were smiths, turning iron into the weapons of survival. The wolf, their sacred symbol, gave them cunning, strength, and fear in their enemies' hearts.
Through trade with Greeks, they touched the world beyond their forests.
Yet even wine became sacred, offered to the gods, not wasted on pleasure.
Every shield bore the signs of ancestors, spirits drawn in color and fire. Even children were taught the art of war, where play prepared them for battle. On mountaintops, they built strongholds, watchtowers against invaders.
their temples were caves, where priests whispered secrets to the gods.
Dacian goldsmiths crafted treasures so fine, even Rome would hunger for them. The hunt itself was training for war, swift, fierce, and merciless.
They read the stars, believing the heavens carried messages of destiny.
Even lullabies carried stories of wolves, spirits.
To survive, they fought. Neighboring tribes were both enemies and prey.
To fall in battle was not defeat, but the gateway to immortality.
They buried their warriors with weapons, for the next life was another war.
Across the wide Danube, Rome watched, cautious, calculating.
Whispers spread in Roman camps. Dacia, the land of the wolf.
Every storm that struck their fortresses was taken as the gods' warning. From childhood, they carved symbols, marks of their people, their spirits. Training was relentless. Every boy forged into a soldier before manhood. Shamans spoke through smoke, binding the living with the dead. Dacia, proud, unbroken, encircled by foes, yet ready to defy them all. In the rising mists, Dacian hunters moved like shadows, guided by the spirit of the wolf.
From childhood, the bow was not a game. It was survival.
Trade bound their tribes together. Every tool, every jar, every skin carried stories.
They looked to the stars, reading the gods' will, written in the heavens.
Every weapon was a bond between man and spirit, iron tempered with belief. High above, their fortresses watched like wolves' eyes over the valleys. Even in cloth, the wolf lived, woven into the heart of Dacian life. The hunt was war's rehearsal, swift, disciplined, merciless. Their temples were caves, dark, timeless, echoing with chants of eternity.
From their mines came gold so pure, it caught Rome's envious eye.
The horse was their ally, swift, fierce, carrying them like wind. The wisdom of ancestors passed not by books, but by memory and symbol. Survival demanded war. Neighboring tribes were foes to be conquered. For the Dacians, death was no end. It was a passage into eternity.
They honored their dead with fire, earth, and sacred chants.
Across the Danube, Rome watched, calculating, waiting. Through smoke, shamans spoke to spirits of the dead.
Even the young trained their aim, dreaming of glory and battle. They saw the sky as a mirror, heaven above, heaven below. The wolf banner rose high, symbol of unity, strength, and defiance. Leaders were chosen not by birth alone, but by courage and vision. They stockpiled weapons, ever ready for the storms of war. Festivals echoed with fire and song, a bridge between men and gods. Hunt and harvest bound community, every meal a gift from spirits.
Even their pottery carried symbols, circles of life, wolves of eternity.
The night before war, steel sang louder than voices.
In sacred groves, they offered blood to gods of earth and sky. Nature ruled them with kindness and fury. Gods spoke through storms.
Legends kept alive the spirit of wolves, kings, and heroes.
But Rome was growing, its shadow creeping ever closer to Dacia. From shadows of division, a new power began to rise.
His name was Burebista, the man who would unite the Dacians.
Tribe by tribe, he bound rivals with oath and fire.
His kingdom spread wide, from the Carpathians to the Black Sea. Discipline forged strength. His warriors became an unstoppable tide.
Faith and war marched side by side under his rule.
He was more than a king. He was a strategist of destiny. He banned wine, believing drunkenness weakened his people.
And so, vineyards burned, replaced by fields of grain for warriors.
His armies thundered across plains,
swift as storms.
No fortress was safe. Burebista mastered both sword and siege.
He struck even at Greek cities, shaking their walls with fire.
Each victory swelled his power and his legend.
And Rome began to watch, nervous, wary, uncertain.
To his people, he was not just a king. He was the living wolf.
Kings and envoys sought his friendship, fearing his wrath.
His influence stretched beyond borders, carried by swift messengers. He crushed rivals until none dared stand against him.
His kingdom now stretched farther than ever before.
Whispers of Dacia reached Rome itself. Could this king rival Caesar?
To his people, he was the chosen one, blessed by gods.
Even Rome traded with him, wary yet dependent.
Religion bound his warriors, fire uniting faith and steel.
He sought counsel from seers, guided by visions of the divine.
Even Greek scholars wrote of him, Burebista, Lord of the North.
Rome prepared its legions, for a storm was brewing across the Danube.
Their war cries, like wolves a night, shook enemies with fear.
One man in Rome, Caesar, would soon cross paths with the Wolf King. The world edged toward a clash that could change history. And in that moment, the Dacians stood united, a force Rome could no longer ignore.
A storm gathered. The Dacians and Rome were fated to collide.
Rome's rising star, Caesar, was already reshaping the world.
And in Dacia, Burebista's word became law, his people united in strength.
Two leaders, worlds apart, yet on paths destined to meet.
Rome's legions conquered westward, iron discipline in every step.
In the east, the wolf warriors sharpened their blades, watching.
Even the Senate whispered, "Could Dacia rise against Rome?"
His fame traveled far, a shadow stretching across the continent.
Caesar's victories shook the world. Gaul was his prize.
And yet, Burebista gazed west, toward Rome itself.
His empire grew vast, swallowing rival tribes in its path.
He built an army that moved like fire across the land.
Caesar's eyes turned east, probing the lands near Dacia.
And Burebista, guided by priests, prepared for destiny.
Rome forged steel for conquest.
Dacia forged the falx, a weapon feared even by legions.
In Rome, Caesar defied the Senate. Civil war had begun.
In Dacia, omens spoke of a coming clash with the eagle of Rome. Caesar triumphed, his power unchallenged within Rome.
And yet, in the north, Burebista's star only burned brighter.
Two worlds moved closer, an eagle and a wolf on a collision course.
Caesar dreamed of expansion. His gaze turned toward Dacia.
Burebista answered with steel. His armies stood ready.
In Rome, rumors swirled. Would Caesar march against the Dacians? Ships were built, legions prepared. The invasion was near.
In the mountains, priests warned Burebista. Fate would soon be decided.
Two rulers immortalized in stone and wood, destined for conflict.
But destiny is cruel. Caesar's enemies plotted in silence.
And on the Ides of March, Caesar fell by Roman hands.
In Dacia, Burebista too would soon meet betrayal, the clash that never came. By 44 BC, Burebista stood at the height of his power.
But in his court, whispers of betrayal began to grow. Ambition and envy poisoned the hearts of men closest to him. His empire stretched from the Black Sea to the Tisa River. But this unity would not survive the death of its king.
He was a visionary, but even visionaries cannot see daggers in the dark.
Chiefs and nobles, fearful of his power, sealed their pact.
Even on the morning of betrayal, he dreamed of a united Dacia.
But that dream died in blood and silence.
The king of the Dacians fell, struck down by his own.
The wolf was slain, not by Rome, but by betrayal within.
With no chosen successor, chaos spread like fire.
From one kingdom came many. The empire shattered into pieces.
Every chieftain crowned himself king, and unity was lost.
Brother fought brother, weakening the nation from within.
Rome saw the cracks and waited for the right moment.
For the common people, loyalty fractured. They no longer knew one king.
Priests begged the gods to restore order, but the heavens were silent. Trade faltered, wealth diminished, the golden age was gone. The people suffered most, caught in endless tribal wars. Strongholds, once united, now burned under rival flames.
Many lost faith, the dream of Burebista buried with him.
Meanwhile, Rome grew stronger, its gaze fixed on the fractured Dacians. A generation grew up in ruins, inheriting only fragments. By 37 BC, Dacia was no longer one, it was many. Rome celebrated quietly. Its greatest rival had destroyed itself. They raised their cups, knowing time was now on Rome's side.
But the Dacians, though divided, still carried the spirit of the wolf.
A flicker of hope remained, that one day unity might rise again.
An empire once mighty was broken, its future uncertain.
With the great king gone, the throne of Dacia stood empty.
Ambitious lords crowned themselves kings, each claiming his legacy.
From unity came division. 4 kingdoms rose where once there was one.
Instead of fighting Rome, they turned their blades on each other.
The common people bore the weight of their leaders' pride.
Across the Danube, Rome watched with patient eyes.
They saw weakness, and weakness was opportunity.
Some kings drowned themselves in wine, blind to danger.
Others sharpened blades, preparing to claim more land.
Rome spread its influence through letters, promises, and gold.
Trade faltered as borders fractured into rival tariffs and tolls.
Even their iron, the lifeblood of war, became scarce.
Disputes over food and weapons weakened their armies further.
Meanwhile, Rome built fortresses of stone, step by step, closer to Dacia.
To the young, Rome was a looming shadow they could not ignore.
Priests begged the gods for a leader who could restore strength.
They searched the skies for omens, waiting for destiny to answer. But for now, they stood divided, staring at the storm beyond the horizon. Each banner claimed kingship, yet none held true power. In Rome, senators argued not if, but when to strike. Ordinary people hid cood, praying their villages would survive the night.
The kings ruled, but none could truly protect their people.
Rome's legions prepared, inch by inch, for invasion. The children still carried the spirit of the wolf, untamed, unbroken.
Some whispered of unity, a dream reborn in secret vows.
Rome recorded every weakness, every division.
But warriors still trained, refusing to surrender their land.
Legends of their great king lived on, fueling hope for another like him.
Yet the land remained fractured, symbols of unity fading into dust. The stage was set, a divided Dacia and a patient Rome waiting to strike.
Rome's shadow grew heavier with every passing year.
But the people clung to the land, guided by symbols of the wolf. Rome bought loyalty with silver and gold, turning chiefs into pawns. Yet some refused, swearing never to kneel before the eagle. Fortresses crept closer, brick by brick, stone by stone.
The women preserved their heritage through thread and song.
Priests raised voices to Zalmoxis, keeper of immortality.
Rome's river fleets signaled their intent to dominate every frontier.
The Dacians trained their young, blending survival with defiance. For some, resistance ended in chains, sold far from their homeland. Yet culture endured in whispers, songs, and secret stories. Rome trained relentlessly, perfecting the art of conquest. But the falx still gleamed, a weapon Rome had learned to fear. Generals studied the mountains, planning the day they would march. In the forges of Dacia, fire shaped weapons of defiance. Guerrilla tactics became their shield, strike and vanish. To Rome, Dacia was no longer a mistra, but a target.
To the young, Rome was not fear. It was destiny to resist.
But kings bickered while danger closed in.
Still, voices rose calling for unity, for a new leader.
Rome built roads not only for trade, but for war.
Even in hardship, their healers kept warriors alive.
In Rome, senators debated conquest or client kingship.
The legend of Burebista lived on in bedtime tales.
Raids continued, each strike a reminder. Dacia would not bow.
Yet Rome's discipline marched on, unstoppable as the tide.
Prophecies spread. One would rise to unite them once more.
Culture, weapons, and faith became the pillars of survival. And in the shadows, a new figure prepared to rise. The dawn of resistance approached. The age of Decebalus was near.
The eagle of Rome loomed closer, hungering for conquest. Yet the forests whispered warnings of danger.
Rome prepared its engines of war, crushing all in their path.
And even the youngest learned resistance through fire and symbol.
Rome demanded submission or destruction.
The tribes roared with defiance. Unity still fragile, yet unbroken.
In secret, prayers grew louder, for a savior, for a king.
The river became a line of fire. Rome on one side, Dacia on the other.
The order was given! The North must fall!
But Dacia stood tall,
defiant against the coming storm.
In silence, a new leader prepared to rise.
A warrior destined to unite the tribes.
The march of Rome was unstoppable.
Until he appeared.
From shadows to legend, the rise of Decebalus was about to begin.
And so ends the story of the Dacians, for now. Next chapter, the rise of Decebalus. Like, share, and subscribe to follow the epic journey of the Dacians.